Well, sometimes it happens, but not very often, that a fairy gets sick and a tooth is not gotten. It is in fact a rule, since 2002, which is when it happened, when Bridget went, Achoo. Bridget, a tooth fairy first class, was happy she was flashed, glad to get a know-how, and of course the thank you cash. There was just one problem. It was a bit bonkers, because she had a bad cold. It was a real honker. She should have stayed at home. This was one sick fairy, but she loved her dream job, so she went anyway. The tooth was to be got from a girl called Lolo, who had it snug and tight, safe under her pillow. Bridget had no problems up until the bedroom, but then Lolo woke up just a wee bit too soon. It should have been easy. A spell with a sprinkle. Lolo would be snoring in a fairy twinkle. But that's when Bridget sneezed. She blew dust everywhere, which is not how it's done. Dust must be used with care. A proper fairy spell with dust, just a sprinkle, is the only way to do a proper fairy twinkle. But the odd way she did it, how Bridget went achoo, was an odd kind of spell for something in the zoo. And the cute girl in her bed, her cute head on the pillow, in a twinkle became a cute armadillo. It was all quite awkward, quite the pretty pickle, and to be quite honest, a bit of a giggle. Lola wasn't afraid, seeing there was a fairy, but it did feel quite strange to be so small and hairy. Just a speck of dust was left, not enough for a sprinkle, and without a sprinkle, there's no fairy twinkle. Only one thing to do, as Bridget told Lolo. Go to fairyland and back by dawn's light tomorrow. Lolo was so excited, it was like a fairy dream. But when Bridget picked her up, Lolo started to scream. Lolo couldn't help it. That's just the way it goes when you're a screaming, hairy armadillo. Something had to be done. Lolo had to be shushed. So Bridget smudged her with that last speck of dust. Smudging is the quick way to solve a loud problem. When people don't shush it, no choice but to smudge them. Which is how a brand new screaming armadillo sat quiet as a mouse, waiting on the pillow. So Bridget and Lolo flew off into the night. It was, to say the least, an unusual sight. They took the fairy path that's left around the ring and went to the other side by going with the shins. What happened after that to fix Bridget's boo-boo is ultra top secret. To scribble it is taboo. Let's just say one favour was asked for another. A favour from the one and only Tooth Fairy Godmother. The Godmother fixed it the way it was before. No one was the wiser. No one heard it or saw. And by dawn, Lolo was safe, snoring and dreaming about a hairy beast that wouldn't stop screaming. About what had happened, she couldn't quite recall, since the Godmother's spell was a forget-it-all. But one thing had changed, to sort of remind her, when she used a mirror but held it behind her. On the back of her neck, where it joins to her head, where her brown hair was smudged, was a silver streak instead. That's why fairies sprinkle. It doesn't leave a streak, which most kids really like, but makes their parents freak. So, if one night your tooth stays under the pillow, don't be sad. Just be glad that you're not a screaming, hairy armadillo.